Welcome back, beautiful people. This is another episode of An Untold Narrative where we feature creatives from all around the world. Today's guest, Bryan Cioffi, I probably effed that up, is joining
You
us.
got it. You did it.
Nice. You have an actually really interesting resume. You've been in massive leadership roles amongst the footwear industry from Converse to Reebok. And then most recently have started your own venture with your partner Meg, uh, and helping other people with a vision to start their own footwear, or just helping people in the footwear industry. So uh, I'm really stoked to have you. And so how are you? Where are you? How are you feeling right now?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of you and your energy and what you do. So I love running into you in weird places and always go, Dave, Dave, and we're always running in different directions. So I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on. I'm in our office in Gloucester, Mass. Um, Really beautiful space that as we left corporate, we really wanted to sort of like make and we can get into the mission in a minute, but we wanted to make a real home for ourselves and a beautiful place that was inspiring to others. And also, you had all the tools to do the job. That was something that we had seen that some people aren't fortunate enough to have. So I'm incredibly grateful. I'm here in the office in Gloucester, and anybody that's listening to this and wants to hit me up's fine. Come by. We're here. We're right on the street. We're easy to find, and you know it's amazing, and I'm good. We're very busy. I'm very, very, very grateful for that. Um, but yeah, it's been an
So
amazing couple of years.
I'm happy you brought up the busyness, and I hope that's the truth, because I wanted to
It
ask you
is.
specifically um, what your interpretation of the state of footwear is, but also the footwear industry is, because right now it is the most uncertain. If you
Wild.
work a corporate job, it's not stable. If you work for a
No,
startup or for yourself, it's not stable primarily,
no,
and so. It's amazing to hear that you're busy, but I'd love to hear your take on it from a holistic view, and then maybe you can funnel into like your own business.
sure, sure. I mean, we only have 45 minutes, so I'm gonna. Let, let's take it in a couple of pieces though, because I want to hit the uncertainty thing first, because I think that is where a lot of anxiety and negativity can come from. And maybe, hopefully, today, if I share my story, I heard this amazing quote. One of my heroes, Ed Catmull, the guy that started Pixar, said, "I don't share my story with you to tell you how good I am. I share my story with you to tell you how good you are. Because if
Mm.
I can do it, dude, as you'll find out, I am the most normal, not talented dude in the world, and I've had a pretty amazing go of it. Anybody can do it. Honestly, it's not like a secret. So that's first. Second, the reason I want to hit the uncertainty thing is because I feel like once you make peace with the uncertainty, everything gets better. Um, I'll give you another quote, and you should talk to him because he's an amazing creative. His name's Arrow Membrano. I worked with him at Converse. He worked at Hasbro. He's the like creative director of collaborations for Netflix now.
Cool.
And I saw him in Vegas last year at the licensing show, and I asked him the same thing because Netflix is a culture of uncertainty, right? Like they make it very clear when you come in, like, hey, there's no such thing as job security. And it's funny because we laughed about it. What I'm doing now, what he's doing, we both realized there's no such thing as job security, anyways. I think the rest of the world's kind of like waking up to it. Um, but there's always something, always. The world isn't going to need footwear. The world is not going to get to a place where human beings with emotion and talent and will and drive, there's not going to be a moment in the foreseeable future, probably in our lifetimes, where that's not needed. And there's just such a big sort of space for everybody to do something and contribute. I really believe that. And I mean, doing this, what I'm doing now, I've been forced to believe that because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But once you kind of just make peace with that and you change your perspective, instead of doing the things to stay how you always did them, if that makes sense, you allow yourself to evolve really quickly. And I can happily say that it's made me a better person. It's made me a better designer for sure. It's made me a better husband. I feel like I've just I've gotten to a new place because I'm not constantly afraid of what if the status quo changes, because the status quo 100% will change. I think we all lived through a pandemic. We're going through this crazy moment where there's all this reshuffling and right sizing of our industry. And I think you could look at that as negative and say it's happening to us, or you can look at it the other way and say there was never job security anyways. There was never this promise that you would have the same thing all the time. And if you let that free you, then man, that's an amazing catalyst for change, and it's exciting. That's what I love. I'm excited every day.
I mean, Bryan, this is, yes, amazing, great. If I'm a listener, oh my God, how the hell do I get that mentality? And so, what did you experience in your life to change the narrative and to give you that perspective? Because that, yes, on paper, in a book, on a podcast, and if you were a monk, I'd be like, yeah, that perspective is beautiful.
Yes.
But like, how does your average person develop that awareness?
Okay, so I'm an average person, right? My my sort of journey is one that I think is usually what causes growth. Kind of pain caused the growth. And I'm kind of a materialist in the way that I need to know why something's happening for whatever reason in my brain. That's how my brain works. Like if you tell me that we're going to do math, instead of saying 2 + 2 = 4, if you show me two things and two more things and then I count them and it's 4, I finally get it. So I'm a little kind of dumb that way. But I spent the majority of my early adulthood worrying, really, really, really struggling with anxiety and fear. And I think, I don't know whether that was apparent to people on the teams that I worked for or my partners. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I think I did a great job, as most people do in a corporate environment, hiding it. I think I had a sort of a interesting upbringing and kind of very young pushed myself into a marriage and almost kind of like making work my identity. And everything revolved around if I was successful, and I was happy if I was achieving, and I wasn't happy and I was nervous if something would go wrong and if things would change. I guess that was the big thing, the change, right? And I tried for so long to control that and would turn myself inside out. I would work wild amounts. I would, I found myself in situations that even to this day I'm not proud of, because I was trying to make other people happy. I was trying to be the best person I could be, whatever that means. I was trying to be the best employee. And I don't, to what end I was searching for, but I really made myself miserable. And, I got confused about what that was. I sort of took the view that things were happening to me and it wasn't my own doing. And I did a lot of research into psychology and psychiatry. I did a lot of talking with therapists. I did a lot of talking to mentors. I just did a lot of living. And I kind of got to a space where I started to push myself into the moments of change, right? And I started to just try to force myself to acknowledge that I wasn't in control of everything and that my ego you know, wasn't the most valuable thing in the world, and how would that feel? I got deeply into meditation. I did a lot of yoga. I did a lot of research on different types of everything from like meditation to psychedelics to reading about things, anything I could think of to quote unquote change your mind. The only thing that helped was really the pandemic helped me so much.
Mm.
The pandemic sort of got me to a place where I realized that the world was never going to be the same ever. That when we woke up tomorrow, it wouldn't be the same as it was the day that we were living in. And as I started to kind of just let that go and started to kind of be okay with that. I don't know that it was one specific thing. It wasn't a mantra that I read, or it wasn't a mushroom that you take, or it's not an ayahuasca session. Believe me, I lived in Peru for a while with a tribe, like literally searching for that. I'll tell you that story later. It was amazing and changed my life in other ways. But I think it was really working in the pandemic and just kind of seeing that it would be okay. And, you know, if you focus on the things that bring you joy, and if you focus on the things that you can control, the anxiety kind of slips away. And that's all it was for me. I don't know if that helps other people. I don't know if that's clear. But that's all it was. And
I do think
that
there's
was it.
something to be said about people having to experience pain or discomfort in order to shift a mentality. I find that that's at least an easier way into navigating a better understanding or perspective on different lifestyles, right? Whether it's better or worse, usually people have to struggle through something or experience that pain, like you mentioned.
It's interesting. I think as human beings, that's where we're comfortable in a weird way, right? Like, but just think about it from the material point of view. If you want to work out and you want to build your body, you want to get stronger, you have to have some pain. It's like the old cliche, no pain, no gain, right? You're in the gym, it hurts. It sucks. Those workouts are terrible. You get stronger after them. So you learn to embrace that, because if you're not having the pain and you're just, you know, walking around the gym and you're on your cell phone and you're not sweating and you're not really going at it, nothing changes. That pain is a great sort of reminder that, oh, my body's changing now. And I do think that's when you're learning something. I think learning is the most amazing thing in the world. I'm sort of addicted to it. That's my hobby. I love to learn new things. It's so hard. It's terrible until you get over the hump and until it's not terrible anymore. So I think if you can look at it just like that, I think back to your original question about like the uncertainty and the fear, I started to get over that. I think that's what allowed me to move into a position like this. And I will tell everybody, if there's a moment where like you find yourself like you're not at a job that you used to have, or you're standing at a sort of fork in the road now, because I talk to a lot of people. I've met so many people. It's the best thing that I've ever done in my career, how many people I've met. It's not a product at all, that we still connect with, and people will reach out. What I try to tell everybody, and it's hard to listen to in the moment, but then they always get back and they always say, oh my God, you were right. 100% of people find something new to do. I've never met anybody that got laid off or fired or left a job because they hated it and didn't have another job. It doesn't happen. Most of the time, I would say 99% of those people are like, I like this one better. And you're like, well, that's nice. That's kind of how it works. So if you can just be okay with the change and sort of embrace it, I guess that's what it turns from anxiety into excitement. And I actually feel so wildly grateful and lucky for what we've done and what we're doing now. In 2 years, we've worked with over 45 different companies, people, entities. Some are in shoes, some not in shoes. And and we've gotten to like sort of work on things that I never would have worked on before, saw things I never would have learned. And now it's exciting
Mm.
because you never know. Like some days the phone doesn't ring, some days it does. And you can, every day is a new opportunity to kind of get out there and change everything. Your life, your job, your outlook on things. So I sound super yeah, like some weird meditation monk or something. I'm not. I
No,
say
but
it because it changed. Like I was a really anxious, unhappy person, and the minute I changed that one thing, my life got wildly better. So
hmm.
I will proselytize it as much as I possibly can.
No, as you should, and I appreciate you kind of sharing that. And while it does sound frothy and kind of out there, it's what people aspire to get to. And if you don't, then you're probably not a good person. Like, let's just be real, right? So like everybody's trying to figure out and navigate life
Yeah.
to be content, to be happy, to work on things you're passionate about. Um, I do want to hone in on, you mentioning the success that you've had since you've left corporate. There are a lot of people listening who are maybe they're creatives, maybe they've thought about going out on their own, maybe they've started already, maybe they've dabbled in freelance or whatever it is. Is there something that separated you guys in your agency apart from others that anybody else listening to this can take home with them to help them develop and have success and drive clientele and find projects that they never thought to work on and travel to places that they never thought? Like what's something that you can share to anybody listening to have a little bit more success than what they're seeing today?
I think there's a couple things. I've heard this, and it's going to sound like I'm patting myself on the back or patting Meg on the back. But people have said it, so I think it's honest. People that call us um, have always said, I really enjoyed working with you. It was really easy to work with you. You were a really nice person before, and you worked really hard, and you sort of knew your job. So I guess in some ways, what I would say to everybody is like, it's not only the work you do, it's maybe how you do it a little bit. And it's much easier for people to want to get in touch with you if they feel like they have a camaraderie with you or it was easy. You're this type of person, right? Like no one's not going to call you. They're gonna be like, oh my God, I get to work with Dave. So,
Well,
like I think that's something that maybe you have to build over time. So like I was lucky that I spent a lot of time in one company. I spent a lot of time at Converse. And then I had a very, even though the business was challenging, I had a great time and learned a lot at Reebok. Dude, you know the people I got to work with there. Jesus, like the nicest, most talented pool of people. And yeah, I feel like if you make yourself easy to work with, then people are going to work with you. They're going to want to work with you. If you're starting out and you don't have that big network, obviously having a network gets you ahead because people just call people they know. It sucks, but it's real. Like, so get to know as many people as you can, make as many connections as you can, go to as many industry events. Like we're going to try to do it here as well because we're here in Massachusetts. It was one of the things that I wanted to do earlier, but I think it makes more sense now with what the companies around here are going through. But like Byram always did an amazing job of it. There's a bunch of different footwear groups. And I think maybe some of us can do a better job of like hosting. So I'll take that on too. So do that. Just meet as many people as you can. Use your network. But then the only other thing I would say is the cold call kind of thing. I've never seen work. I've never gotten one job or heard of anybody getting a job from just like a, hey, we're here. But the internet's an amazing thing. You can be open, put your work out, Um, I'm sort of, I've seen a lot of like LinkedIn's weird, but I've seen a lot of people like this backlash on like the open to work thing, which is so strange. That is ridiculous. Don't feel ashamed that you don't have a job or that you want to work. That's absurd. Because people need to find you. That's one of the things I've learned. There are so many opportunities, and people just don't know where to find good people to work, be it freelancers or full-time employees or whatever. A lot of the time, I'm helping some of my clients get full-time employees. So that's real.
Mm.
So I would just say, just talk about what you do. Raise your hand. Be a little comfortable being uncomfortable and putting yourself out there a little bit. And don't try to be everything to everyone. That's the other thing. Like, we do very specific things. We've never suffered because we're more niche. I actually think we've gotten more jobs because we just kind of go to what we're good at. And people call all the time and say, hey, do you do apparel? And we say, no, but I'll get you to someone that does.
Right.
Do you do accessories? And we get people to those people also. And then in turn, the people that we get jobs also say, hey, well, I don't do footwear, but Meg and Bryan do. So I think that's the best thing. Meet as many people as you can. Just be, I think it's a like life rule. Just be a good person and then just be out there. Like, it's okay to put yourself out there, especially now. You don't have to be secretive. No one's cooler than anybody else. So just, you can be out there and be ready to.
It's so hard, it's easy to say that. It's really hard, with the social age that we do live in.
Yeah.
For people, putting their work out there, especially people I hear it all the time. It's like, oh, even my posts aren't reaching, 1% of my followers and like doing this. And it's like, ultimately the work is going to be the work. And, you have to navigate those waters. It's super competitive. And so, yeah, I'm curious, like, again, I want to like deep dive because yes, you guys have worked with amazing people. Yes, you've had illustrious careers, but still going off and navigating your own business is something new and it is challenging. And so I'm hopeful that you can share something of like, what's something negative, right? Like, we've had a very, I appreciate it because I'm an optimist and I'm very positive myself, but like, what's like the juice? Like, what do you fucking hate about your job? Like, what's a really challenging thing?
What? I'll give you all kinds of stuff.
Now, right? Like, what's something that you really just at a deep level struggle with, but you have to do it because there's only two of you, and like you just have to just shut up and do it, right? Like, it's cool that you get all these amazing gigs, but like it can't all be rainbows and butterflies.
No, listen, there's a whole bunch of things. Maybe they're what you think, maybe they're not. I find it hard to collect. It's tough, man. Thank God Meg is the person that can do that. I would go bankrupt if not. I'm like, is it okay to get our money, sir? Listen, everybody loves the work. No one likes to pay. That's what it is. It's not personal. I don't like that. Meg doesn't mind. So we kind of split that duty. You know what's tough for me? There's two things, and we were talking about this before we came on. I'll do a quick one first, though, before getting into that, because that's the biggest. Balance is the hardest. I still have the ember inside that burns that says, I can work longer. I can do this next thing. I can help. I think that's where like Meg would definitely agree with this. I have this sort of like flaw that I just want to help genuinely. So I'll just take too much on and I'll burn myself down. So I work a lot. And I think that like it's part of the gig, it's part of the hustle. Like you have to work. I'm incredibly grateful for it and I love it. So that's even harder. Like doing something that you love to do, just like it's not hard for me to sit here for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I have a wife and I have a life that like that's important. So that's tough. Finding the balance is tough. And I don't like that I have to work on that every day because I suck.
Before you get into the second thing, I have to interject because this, you are talking about me too, right? Like I I don't have an issue working 14 hours a day. I know it's uncommon because
Yeah.
people don't like their job as much as I do. But I
Yeah.
usually enjoy it. It comes with a couple things that you don't enjoy, but overall it's really not that bad, and so I like doing it. And like I think there needs to be a conversation around destigmatizing that, of like, for
Yeah.
people
It's
who
okay.
are fucking stoked to do what they do, like let them burn. Like I don't want to burn out. I don't promote it. Like I just saw, I like really went through 2 weeks of like mental fucking, like I was really struggling, and now like I'm back after my art show last weekend. But like, yeah, it happens, but it comes with the territory, and I want a different life than you, right? I want a different life than the
Yeah.
boring motherfucker out there. And so, listen, like if
That's,
that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. And like I don't need
I
other
agree.
more people to push me away.
It's not, here's the thing, right? Like everyone, the thing that people do say they say to me and about me, because I've heard people say about me, they're like, that dude's had an interesting life. And I won't lie. I've strived for that. I've had a very interesting life. I've had to work my ass off for it. And that's the other thing. I'm not going to like sugarcoat that. You want to start your own thing, you want to do that. It takes a lot of work. And I
Mm,
do think that it's okay to destigmatize that. Hard work is good. That's not bad. As long as you're doing it for the right reasons. Again, for me, it's like I do want to do other things too. And I'm very, very, very stoked on being alive. And I love kind of everything. I love my life a lot. I really, really love this job. I love that I get to walk from my house to our office every day. And I can sit here and just, I love all of the clients that we work for. I get to like, I want to grind for them.
mm,
So I think it's a really good conversation. You got to give yourself some fuel so you don't get stale. I try to do that, but that's it. That's the balance thing. It's not the working hard that makes me upset because I love to work. It's the, okay, when when can I shut it off? What are those other things I just have to pay attention to? Like, when do I go to the gym because I love to go to the gym? When do I eat healthy because I love to like do that too? So that's the piece. But that's a great conversation. That we could spend a whole hour on that. And I don't
prob-
think, listen, man, anybody that thinks you're gonna do amazing shit or like get ahead or have an interesting life and just mail it in, I'm sorry. Uncle Brian and Uncle David are telling you right now, if you can do it, that's amazing. I wish you the best. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. You got to just work. You got
I
to just
I
put the
also
time in.
I also don't know if that's ever possible.
Is that
Maybe it is.
fun?
Maybe.
Is that actually fun? Is a ill-gotten gain sort of like enjoyable? Do you like something like if someone just gave you a Ferrari tomorrow, it would be amazing. But wouldn't you go to bed and go, I didn't earn that though? Like, I don't know.
I
It's
honestly,
cool, but
like,
like
you're asking them. I would sell it. So that's what I would sell it,
I
because
would drive it first.
I'm a pretty frugal motherfucker. So
So it's easy for you then. Um, but no, the one thing that I hate, I get energy from people. It's my favorite thing. Um, I don't get burnt out from talking to big groups, from talking in front of people. I'm not an introvert. I'm a very extroverted person. So that was a huge change. And I was a leader of a very, very big team at Converse, and my job was to inspire the team, make sure that things went from A to B, and do whatever it was. It was different every single day, but like make sure that everybody's okay. Listen to people, right? Like be there for people and be a bit of. I don't have to tell you this, and the people that are listening probably don't have to do this. Like sometimes being a creative in a corporate environment isn't the nicest thing. It's really hard. Creatives aren't better or worse than anybody else. Creatives just run on different gas. It's like an
mhm.
EV and a diesel truck. No, they're not better or worse. They're equally important. But you don't put the diesel gas in the EV and you can't charge the diesel truck. So sometimes corporations aren't, even if they do product, even if they have a big design team, they're not really programmed, or they're sub-optimized for creative life. So that leads to some stressful things. So, part of my job, and again, I got energy from this, was helping people through that, lending stories of others, or helping people know they're not alone, or, letting everybody know that imposter syndrome, everybody gets that. That's creative. Or everybody has burnout. And like, who do you tell to go to the museum, and who do you tell to make sure that they show up for the meeting, right? Because like creatives are all their own unique animals. So I love that. I went from that at Converse to that times two at Reebok, because the business wasn't in the best place. So
Right.
not only did we have to like adjust what we were doing, but then you're still a creative in that environment. And then a pandemic's going on. So no one knows what the hell's going on. Then it became
Dude,
public that the company was sold. So like, it was wild.
the
So being,
I
go.
I don't think I've shared this. I've spoken about it but I've never put it on record. But like, I was managing a team as well during the pandemic, and as a first time leader,
Oh,
and when you have, big beady eyes of teams through Microsoft Teams staring at you, asking for answers when you also have zero fucking idea what is going on, it's
it's
like
wild.
those dark waters were some of the most educational and informative of like my life, and have taught me so much about leadership and like how to be there for other people even when you don't know how to be there for yourself. And like
Hard.
anybody who was ever a leader during the pandemic, I think they'll never get the recognition that they deserve for what they had to deal with.
Changes you as a person. I would recommend to everybody, if you can, to be a leader, either in your community or in your family or in a corporation, like, because it changes you as a person. Like, it's not I'm the boss now and now I can control people. You realize the opposite. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, I'm a terrible person. Something I said unintentionally just like destroyed someone. Oh my God, I was trying to help and I completely ruined that person's day or their week. I was trying to either give them advice or, and it's impossible. It's the gnarliest mirror in the world, but it's wonderful too. Like, you grow so much and so fast as a person. So having that for the better part of 20 years, I was always a leader. I just I guess I just have that personality that you know, I talk and I'm loud, and I sort of just brought that to myself. But going from that to nothing, and we still work with clients and stuff, but many days I'm here. And it's funny because Meg and I work very differently. I like to work at the office. I start early in the morning and I go and I just like do it. Meg has a different rhythm. She works at night a lot of the times. She likes to work at home. That's where
Mm.
she's comfortable, like in her studio. Um, so a lot of the times I'm alone. It's the one thing that's tough. That's why I'm grateful that we have good clients. I have good friends. Things like this. I'm always inviting everyone. Everyone on the internet is invited to come to our studio. So, but yeah, that's the biggest thing for me now. It's not the uncertainty. It's not the work. I'll do anything. I feel like the humility is also wonderful. Like, I haven't said no to anything. There's nothing beneath us.
Mm.
Sometimes we do colorways. Sometimes we do really crazy projects for famous people. Sometimes we do jobs for big companies, small companies. They're all wonderful, actually. They're all the same. It's that kind of, not having a big team to bounce stuff off of has been an adjustment.
That This conversation is stellar. I think, and I hope people really can admire and appreciate kind of what we're talking about, because it's very real, right? And I don't think enough people talk
Yes.
about it. And so, um, I want to ask you, again, if I'm listening to this, and I am obviously first time, we don't know each other that well, so like I'm
Yeah.
absorbing a lot of about your life as it's coming through the speakers. It sounds great, dude. Like in the same, I hear this a lot. It's like in my
It
DMs
is.
all the time. It's like, oh, Dave, you're killing it. You're killing it. You're killing it. Yeah, but you have no idea. Like I'm actually under a lot of pressure all the time, and it's like it's not all
Yeah.
fucking rainbows all the time. And but
Sometimes
yeah,
you
I'm
stay up all night.
quote unquote killing it, right? And so I want to ask you, like, what is there anything missing out of your life? Because again, as an observer, you just explained you love your job, you have this, you figured out balance, you found time to go to the gym, you do that. Like, what's missing, or is that have you cracked the code? Like, is this if you do this for another 30 years, are you just fucking so good?
No, I don't want to do the same thing every day. I'm kind of happy with what comes. I think it's not a um, it's not a question to me of what's missing. Because a lot of people would look at my life, if they looked at every day, they'd be like, wow, like that that's like super not glorious. Like he gets up, he goes, feed the cats, go to the gym, go to work, come home, play guitar for a little bit, go to bed, right? Like, and then you sprinkle that in with a vacation and things here and there. That makes me happy. I know what makes me happy. Um, but I think it's what I said before, right? Like it's not that anything's missing. It's how can you just optimize things more? How can I spend more time with the people that really make me happy? Can I can I do more, right? Like, can I do more interesting things? Can I learn more? Can I have more time to read or learn more hobbies or and I also don't know, right? Like this could completely change tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All I hope, and I don't know because it didn't happen to me yet. It will some point. It will. Like it's just that's the truth. At some point this is going to be over and I hope that I can keep the same clarity that whatever I've been able to grab now, I just hope I can keep that. Because, you know, everything's nice when, you know, you're busy, we're booked out for a couple of months. I just got back from Disneyland, like just, of course. But like, when shit happens in your life, that's when it gets real. When it happens again, I just hope that I have the tools to um, keep going. And I think that that's sort of like maybe those are the people that you keep in your life that can help you through it. And just to
Yeah.
remember that shit is 100% going to change, 100%. Um, so I'm just stoked with like what it is today.
I think that's a tremendous outlook and can definitely keep you grounded and then also motivated and inspired for the moment in front of you versus trying to predict too many things, which all of us know we can't. We just worry about trying to do that too often. So,
You know what it
um,
is too, honestly? I think maybe it's just learning gratitude. Because like even if you have the ability to listen to two white dudes talking shit about whatever, these oh, they're so happy they have the best life. Um, you have it pretty good. Like you're in a space where like you have a connection to the internet. You have time to listen and enrich your life. Like even if you're looking for a job in this industry right now, I can only speak to like this kind of general industry because that's what I know. That's what I'm in. I don't know. There's better ones, there's worse ones. It's pretty amazing. Like
mhm.
we're all incredibly lucky to sort of be able to do that. We don't work in a cobalt mine somewhere. We don't we're not in one of the places in the world that there's real wars going on. Like that shit's real. I don't know how those people deal with it. That's who I would want to know. I kind of try to remind myself that like it's gonna sound dark, but it's not. Like the one thing I learned in Peru was like focus on the fact that you're gonna die. Focus on the fact that there's really shitty things in the world going on, and that's not you. So what do
Mm.
you have to complain about? Like so that sort of space I try to take every day. Actually, I'm a weirdo, and if you've ever seen me in Gloucester, you can check this. I kind of talk to myself while I walk to work in the morning. That's my gratuity or my gratitude exercise. I try to just remind myself every day of like, okay, like I'm getting to go to my office with my name painted on the outside. Like I get to do work for the clients that I'm working for. Like I'm so lucky. I think that's made me happier. So if I don't know,
I
maybe that.
I don't know if you know this, but this year, I set a goal of running a minimum of a 5K every single day, and so there are plenty of days where I just don't
You're
want
a
to go
maniac.
running. And one of the things that's actually really helped me is exactly what you said. Of as I start, it's usually the first mile that's the hardest, and I'll just like be like, dude, your body's able, you're not sick, you can get outside, you can breathe fresh air, and like just having that perspective honestly just makes you really stoked to just do whatever you're doing. And so I think you're
Someday you're not
100% right.
going to. Dude, someday you won't, your body won't let you. We're all going to get old, right? Like we're all going to die. But like at some point, while you can, you could, it's amazing, right? Because I don't think I could do that. But instead of sitting and saying all the negative things and the reasons you can't, you push yourself to do it and you tell yourself why you're grateful to do it. That's very transformative and powerful. Like that's pretty simple too. And you don't have to run a 5K every day. It's just a mentality. Whatever
Yeah.
you want to do. And then, just try to do it well. That's it. You can't skate. There's no hack, there's no cheat code. I think it was Ben Affleck. I might be wrong, but he was talking about editing and how hard editing is in Hollywood. Because it's like someone was talking to him about filmmaking. And he was like, I'll probably get it wrong, but you'll get the point. He was like, it's the thing I hate the most. It's the hardest thing, but it's the thing I dedicate myself the hardest to because I know that I can't build the roof of a house unless I build the foundation first. There's no hack, there's no cheat code. It takes this effort, this long to make a good movie. So what I do instead is I just dedicate myself to it. I run directly at it, and that's what I spend the most time on. So I thought that was good advice.
And I think anybody listening who's in a place of uncertainty should apply that same perspective to whatever they're trying to tackle. I mean, the amount of phone calls that I field from recent graduates or people changing jobs or whatever, we're all looking for a silver bullet. We're looking for that cheat code, and honestly, it just doesn't exist. It's like the work will win. It's like you
Well,
just do the work.
and reach out. I guess that's the other thing too. Like, don't stay and feel like you're alone. Don't sit and don't don't toil in that mire, right? Like there are people that will be happy to talk to you. They might not have the answer in the moment, but at least you'll maybe you'll find something out. Like I'm here for that. I know you're here for that. I think most people that sort of do this for a living are open to it. So many times people are like, I don't want to bother you. I didn't know what to say. Stop. Like that's on you. If you're gonna be that way, like I'll put it out to whoever. Like even if I don't know you, it's hit me. And you want to like have a coffee. You want to come to the office and see what we do, or if there's anything we can show anybody, we're here for that. And I feel like if you're employed and you're, especially if you're a leader and you have anything that you can make a connection and you're not on LinkedIn looking for people, you're not open to those calls, you're not, then you should really think about maybe doing something else because there's so many good people out there now. The world is so different. There's so much opportunity that, you know, don't just be like, okay, I'm good, so I don't have to do that anymore. Like, and if you get a job, if you're looking now and you're like on LinkedIn all the time, or you're on like, whatever. And then you're like, the minute you get a job, you stop doing that, or you don't pick the phone up, or you won't go get coffee with people. Like, I don't know. That's something that I think you might have to maybe think about for a minute. So,
So we if somebody doesn't take you up on your offer of going to visit and hanging out with you after you've mentioned it a couple times and your office is glorious, and so somebody in the Massachusetts,
be nice.
Boston, New Hampshire area should definitely do it. Speaking of reaching out, Bryan, we have spoken about so many different things. I'm stoked. I'm energized. Where can people find you and reach you and touch base with you if they are interested with anything that you've said today?
Email me. It's the easiest email in the world. It's Bryan with a Y, so Bryan. And our agency is called Meg Bryan Design Agency because it's Meg and Bryan. Really simple. Bryan at Meg Bryan, write to me. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. I used to own a toy company. I don't really have time for that anymore, but I'm on Instagram. BC Toys. It's easy. You can go look at the old toys, and every once in a while I post stuff on there. I'm pretty easy to find. And we're in Gloucester. We're right downtown. We're in the mall on Main Street. We're on Pleasant and Main Street. Like we're right on look, we're literally right on the street. It says Meg Bryan on the window. It's really easy to find us.
For
Yeah,
for those listening on Spotify or Apple, there it literally just says Meg Bryan on the beautiful windows
it
of
says
their.
Meg. And a really, really talented sign painter who used to be a footwear guy, who you should also talk to, Kenji Nakayama, painted the windows. So he's a genius.
I will talk to
Very proud of
anybody
those
named
windows.
Kenji.
You need to talk to Kenji. Kenji's actually talented. He's not like me. Kenji's actually talented and has an amazing life. Owns his own sign company.
Bryan, this has been spectacular. I super appreciate you chopping it up and hanging out with us and sharing some insights on what you're doing and what you're building and where you're going and how to find, any sort of peace, as so many people are struggling to do it, myself included at times, to figure it all out. And so I think this was tremendous. So thank you. I'm super grateful for your time together.